The world's most expensive car, 2021. Because 2021 is coming to an end, the most expensive car of 2021 has been declared. Do you wonder what the most expensive car for 2021 is? Let's watch the video to find out. Welcome back to MediaLuxury. When you purchase a high-end car, you're investing in more than lightning-fast speediness and shiny hoods. Often, you're buying a little piece of history. You're supporting the innovative automotive tech of the future. The most expensive cars are more than just price tags. They're inventions, they're pedigreed, meticulously manufactured testaments to their makers. And they're awe-inspiring inspirations for what we can make if we really put our minds to it. Also, they can be fun, from the revving of high-grade motors to the astounding things possible with today's auto infotainment systems. This year's most expensive cars are quicker, smarter, and more powerful than ever before. Wondering what this year's most expensive car is? We will reveal it to you. The 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO, $70 million. For the most expensive car of all time, we turn to history. After all, if you're investing in a gorgeous supercar, it should be one that can tell you a good story. A 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO is the most expensive car ever sold at auction. When the hammer fell, $48,405,000 was on the plates at R.M. Sotheby's auction in Monterey. As expected, bidding for the car started out high immediately at $33 million. A number of collectors bid against each other to obtain the Ferrari before the hammer finally fell at $44 million. Including auction fees, the total amount came to the aforementioned $48.4 million, breaking the previous record of $38,115,000 by over $10 million. That amount was paid for another Ferrari 250 GTO, which was sold at auction in 2013. Although the sale price of this 250 GTO is extraordinarily high, it's not the most expensive 250 GTO to change hands. Earlier this year, one was bought by American car collector David McNeil for $70 million, although that was a private deal without the intervention of an auction house. Experts call the classic car market still very healthy, partly because of these deals. The Ferrari 250 GTO is a sports car made by the Italian car brand Ferrari. The car was designed in the early 1960s and was intended to participate in several races. The number in the name represents the capacity of each cylinder in centimeters squared. GTO stands for Gran Turismo Omologato. The 250 GTO model was the pinnacle of development of the 250 GT series in competition form, while still remaining a road car. It made its public debut at the annual preseason Ferrari press conference in January 1962 and was the only front-engine model on display, with its monoposto and sports racing counterparts all having a mid-engine configuration. When the 250 GTO entered the market in 1962, it cost $18,000 in the United States. It also required the personal approval of Enzo Ferrari, the founder and director, before it could be purchased. In 1964, the 250 GTO won the Tour de France automobile, marking the 9th year in a row that Ferrari won that race. Only 36 of these cars were made between 1962 and 1963. The specific Ferrari that's the most expensive in the world, at an unbelievable $70 million price point, was victorious not only in the Tour de France, but it also placed in the Le Mans. In 1964, a second series was unveiled. This one only slightly modified externally from the original. Only 3 examples of this second edition were built. In addition, 4 original ones were converted to the newer model. The 250 GTO was originally designed to participate in GT racing. Remarkably, however, Ferrari seems to have intended the car for the ordinary road. In the 1960s, it was customary for Ferrari to give racing cars an even chassis number and ordinary cars odd numbers. All 250 GTOs were given an odd chassis number. The car was based on the 250 GT SWB. The head of the technical department, Giotto Bizzarini, placed the 3-liter V12 engine from the 250 Testarossa in the chassis of the 250 GT SWB and worked with designer Sergio Scaglietti to design the bodywork. After Bizzarini was fired, Mauro Foghieri continued to work with Scaglietti. Unlike most Ferraris, the 250 GTO was not designed by a specific person or design firm. The rest of the car was typical of a Ferrari of the early 1960s. Hand-welded tubular frame, an A-shaped front suspension, active rear axle, disc brakes, and Borrani wire wheels. The 5-speed gearbox was new to Ferrari race cars. The metal plate that showed the shift pattern inside is still used in production models today. The interior was very limited. Even a speedometer was missing. Many buttons and levers came from a Fiat 500, and it's rumored that the car went into production in a hurry and that the original seats were made from workers' overalls. The rules imposed by the FIA state that a car must have been produced at least 100 times in order to compete in the GT Championship. However, only 39 units of the 250 GTO were ever built. Nevertheless, for reasons that are unclear, the car was admitted to the championship. With a top speed of 174 miles per hour and an acceleration of 0 to 100 kph in 6.1 seconds, its stats certainly don't thrill today's auto enthusiasts by itself. However, in the 60s, it was the fastest in the world, and now, decades later, it remains the most expensive car in the world of all time by a long shot. All of the examples produced, apart from the 64 bodied cars, had 3 removable D-shaped panels retained by quarter-turn fasteners on the upper face of the nose for increased radiator air throughput. The pattern being repeated with 3 similar uncovered openings in the underside of the nose panel. Some term this beautiful car the Picasso of the motoring world, others the holy grail of Ferraris. What is the most expensive car ever? The 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO, and frankly, that's unlikely to change anytime soon. The current owners of the most expensive car of all time include American fashion designer Ralph Lauren, Pink Floyd drummer Nick Mason, and John A. Shirley, the former president and COO of Microsoft. Do you like luxury cars? Then make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. What do you think about the 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO? Let us know in the comments below.